cares because you understand that if I record this, it means I'll post it.
Hmm.
But the Monty, the church guy, and the School of Rock guy, who knows you know Monty, right, Brent? Somebody knows Monty. Yeah. So he wants to do that for a song for service, the virtual service Sunday, and that's what we're doing. He's sending everybody a track to play along with, and we have to, isolate our track and send it, and then he wants us to record a video with our phones so it looks like we're doing it collectively. So
you got to be pretty on the right time for that.
Well, I think he's counting on. Apparently, almost everybody's gonna do what I did with Stevie's song and throw it in GarageBand, and then just add a track, play along with it, because you don't have to worry about mixing it or anything if you do it that way. But the timing's right. If everyone's using the same software, then there's not a lot of. I don't think there's a lot of, issues with the time. But like a cell phone video, and I don't know. I remember I used to think, Stevie, I think it was you that corrected me on this. I used to think that if it was digital, no matter what, it would always line up. But that's not true, is it?
Nah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm using. I don't have internet out here, so I'm just doing a hotspot off of my phone.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that.
And it's glitchy.
No, you look fine. You look good, and you sound good. And I hope it's not taxing your data. You have unlimited data, right? So this isn't a big deal.
That's correct, but I've used so much data that it's now being throttled.
Oh, you think so? Oh, I just read something about that. Verizon, who I consider like the equivalent of an evil empire when it comes to this sort of thing, apparently announced that they weren't gonna that they were like giving everybody unlimited data right now because they understood the need. Like the porn sites are all free now.
What's that 2G?
They understand the need. Is that true? Is that something specific you heard, or is that just your assessment?
Well, when they throttle you down to 2G.
Right. Which isn't terrible unless you're trying to like stream something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't had any issues. Me and my wife are both working from home. The kids are logging on to Schoology and shit like that, and we were a little concerned about whether or not our internet. That was awesome. Whether or not our internet would be able to like maintain, but we haven't had any issues so far.
Can you hear that? Woo!
No, I missed the woo. I actually got music
player. Steve,
I have music playing.
What?
Steve, how lonely are you and your dad out there? I didn't phrase that correctly, but
yeah, you did.
Dude,
great interview question.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Listen, I've been out in the field all day. I just came in and I'm fucking beat, man. We were planting, retransplanting some trees.
Oh shit! So digging them up and then putting them back down.
Digging holes.
Double the work, triple the work.
Well, I got an auger that I was using, so we do have some power tools, but it's a lot of work.
Not a lot of people calling for Christmas trees right now.
Not yet, but they're getting ready, man. They're laying the groundwork.
Maybe in 10 years.
You're laying the groundwork for 10 years. This is your legacy, Steve. Upper Tugfork, man. Yeah. Me and my family are going to be coming to see you when you got a big white beard, getting our Christmas tree, dragging it off to our powerless, water scarce community where only a few have survived.
Exactly.
Right. That's where we're headed.
I've been watching some of your videos, Scott.
Been watching some of what? Some
of your shows.
People keep saying their shows. I guess they kind of are now, huh? Billy started that the very first night. Yeah, you sent me a text saying a great show, and then the very next day you said, "Who's on today's show?"
It's a strange new world we're in.
The guest on this evening's show.
No, I like I said, I started doing this because I wanted to talk to people and see what the differences were, and I figured, what the fuck. It's actually kind of difficult to get people to do it. And you guys are in every Wednesday because we'd be getting together anyway, right?
Yeah. Hey, Brent, have you been working? What have you been doing?
Yeah, thank you, because Brent wasn't with us last week. You got to fill us in, Brent. Tell us about the last 2 weeks of your crazy life.
Yeah, working, probably busier than I usually am, which is really disappointing.
Will you do me? Will you do me a favor and just for posterity's sake, will you just say what you do or as much as you're willing to, and give us a sense of if you're busier than usual, does that mean business is good, or does it just mean that there's more pieces to pick up?
this is really weird. Like,
You didn't
do
expect
you have
this.
a show? Like, do you have a show that you're posting on Facebook every day where you're
Yeah,
like,
pretty much. This is
Oh.
only the fifth one. So it was. You remember when I was doing that fanzine, Imminent? It was supposed to come out once a month, but I put out 8 issues over 2 years or something. So I thought I'd do this every day. I've managed to get 5 out of 7. It's not too bad.
Brent,
Yeah.
during one of my 4 appearances,
This is your 4th appearance. No, it's your 3rd, Bill. It's your 3rd.
Third. Sorry, not to get ahead of myself. I likened it to the Seinfeld where the Kramer gets the set from the talk show, then everybody coming into his apartment became a guest on his talk show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Like the king of comedy.
Rupert Pupkin. Yeah, no, I've been
I'll just
talking
leave
to
it at this. I write, and what I write about is being talked about a lot right now, which is like high-tech manufacturing.
Mm-hmm. And by that you mean humanless manufacturing?
A lot of automation, and people are trying to pivot to manufacture critical healthcare devices, PPE.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's this. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And
so I'm
crazy busy.
That's awesome. I mean, see, that's the thing is, it's just like one of the themes of all these has been that the economy has to keep going. I mean, to me, the most terrifying part of all this is where we'll end up after, there's 20% unemployment and stuff like that. But I'm hearing a lot of stories like this where people are finding avenues that can make it beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, like Motors GoFundMe page to pay the employees.
I can't say I object to that. I'm going to see if Dan will come on here and talk about that. And I'm trying to get Paul Mace's neighbor. Paul's got a buddy, Vince, East Coast Vince. Billy has met Vince, he's got a good friend who's a drummer for a band called Tycho. Anybody? Tycho? Anybody? No.
Toy company.
Right. But there was a text exchange about how all this was affecting the music industry, and Dan's a good example of what that means at ground level, anyway, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to donate to that GoFundMe page, probably.
Seriously, you got extra money to give away right now?
I don't, kinda. I mean, I have a job. I mean, my wife and I are both working. Neither one of us. It doesn't seem like. I mean, not yet, anyway. We're trying to be kind of careful, but like I said, I firmly believe that we got to keep it fucking going, man. Even back in the 2008, and this is, it's easy for me to say as someone who doesn't have a lot of stocks invested, or I got what I got. But even in 2008, I told people, act like you always do. So much of economic health is based on perception, and things are moving. Brent's company's found a way to pivot. I think it's a great term, to pivot. The real estate industry is going into the spring market like the spring market. In fact, the numbers are higher right now than they were this time last year. So, I'm trying to find people that I can help in some way.
That's cool.
Like you, Stevie. Howard, you and your dad, it's just you guys, right? And you're just prepping the farm for future generations of trees to sell, right?
Just doing what we normally do.
Yeah.
Except I'm not leaving to go work at night downtown.
Yeah. I mean, is that kind of nice?
Yeah, it is. I can go to bed early, which I do.
Yeah, I tend to as well. I tend to get up early too. But I mean, what's shopping like in Northern Kentucky, guys? You and Billy are both down there. Up here, it's kind of stabilized. You still can't find toilet paper, which I find stupid, but there's really nothing else that seems scarce. Maybe Clorox wipes.
What's shopping like?
It's not bad, but when you go out,
we all got to deal with it.
There's no traffic.
I know, it's weird. That's actually been kind of good because my son just got his temps a couple of weeks ago, and obviously he can't start driving school because he's got to actually do a course before he can take his license test. So we've been taking him driving a lot. Can
I take a quick poll here?
Yeah.
So about an hour ago, my son texted me from upstairs in his room, and he said that his girlfriend. So my son's almost 16. He'll be 16 in July. His girlfriend is she's a junior. He's a sophomore. She's almost a full year older
Right.
than he is, and she's been driving for a while. And so he texts me and says, "Hey, can Megan? She made some extra food. She wants to bring it by, and she wants to hang out, and we can talk on the porch, like 6 feet away or whatever."
Do it. Let him do it.
I didn't.
Brent, how long have you and Ryan and the boys all been like in the same house together? We're at the beginning of our third solid week.
I think this is week 3.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that my kids don't, and my kids are, how old's the younger one? He's your oldest, right?
Yeah, my younger one is 12.
12, right? So I'm in almost the same boat. 5's 16 and Elliot's 11, and they don't really grasp the gravity of the circumstances, and they're going nuts, and they really are. They're going nuts, and so I've been trying to take 5 driving, and I let his buddy Ty come over, and they literally stood out in the street outside of Ty's Jeep and just talked for like an hour and 45 minutes. And the thing was, is you could tell it made him feel better. I mean, there's enough precautions to take. I know this is proven to be more virulent than people think, but I'm still pretty confident that if you're smart, you wash your fucking hands, you don't, and you stay out of contact with other people in other places as much as possible, you'll be all right. That's a real controllable environment. You could be right there and say, stay here, and wipe anything she brings over, you can wipe down.
It's not controllable when, like, they would not stay 6 feet apart. There's no way.
Well, I mean, you might have to police it a little bit, but I mean, I don't know. I would have said yes.
What about you guys? Other two?
It's hard to say. It seems like every day opinions on that are shifting.
Well, really, I mean, yeah, up to just a few days ago, they were trying to claim that there wasn't airborne contagion, and there most certainly is, apparently.
Well,
terrible.
It didn't make sense to me because, they'd officially be saying stay 6 feet apart, but then they'd also say, like, oh, by the way, it lasts in the air around the person for 3 hours or whatever.
I didn't hear that.
3 hours. Woo.
But yeah, I'm sorry, Brad. I mean, all these decisions are tough right now. They are. I mean, I was supposed to go to my dad's house and drink every Tuesday, and I went last Tuesday. We didn't hug it out. We kept our distance. I got drunk. I drove home one-eyed. Here we are 7 days later. We're both curiously devoid of symptoms. But it's just hard. It's hard right now. It is. The whole social distancing thing, I think, is harder the younger you are.
Well, I take it, Brent, you're the enforcer of the family.
I mean, Ryan was against it too.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is it's a judgment call that you guys made.
Yeah. No, I feel like dick, and I wanted to see if I was alone.
Don't feel like a dick. I mean, he could claim his girlfriend had been quarantined as long as you guys are, because I mean, I haven't heard anything that said the gestation period was any longer than 14 days. So the thought process has always been, if you've isolated for 14 days, you don't have any symptoms, you could safely assume you don't have this thing. But like over the last 3 or 4 days, the airborne contagion thing's coming up. They're talking about asymptomatic carriers, people that had a similar flu strain might not get the symptoms, but could still. I mean, it's just like, how much are you willing to gamble on what you're causing? I mean, that's how I explained it to my son and my daughter. I said, what are you willing to gamble? My daughter desperately wanted to go hang out with her friend Lucy that lives 2 blocks away. And I said, are you willing to gamble Lucy's life? She's like, it's not that serious. I'm like, no, really, think about it for a minute. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you can't get it. You've got the germ, the virus. You give it to her, she dies.
Well, it's fatal, like, no. But there's people recovering though too, right?
There's tons of people recovering. But the other thing too is, it's like, there's tons of people that have died that never got tested, so they're not part of the count. There's tons of people.
Not to be selfish, but there's starting to be more reports of people young or younger, youngish.
What was the guy's name from Fountains of Wayne? Adam Schlesinger? Yeah,
from what was the band?
Fountains of Wayne.
Fountains of Wayne.
You did a lot of
3 times.
You did a lot of songwriting for other folks too, didn't you?
I think that's true, and for some reason I thought those guys were always in like hosts of different. They're a Boston band, right?
Was he in the Smashing Pumpkins for a minute too?
I don't think that's so, but I don't know.
I thought there was some time.
I don't know. I liked Fountains of Wayne. I think they're Utopia Parkway or Utopia Boulevard. I can't remember what it's called now. It's terrible. I think it's one of the best power pop records ever.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I have a different subject. We were
Come
talking
on.
about recording.
Yeah. I want to delve into
recording. So, but what about? So Steve sent a song last week.
Death Warmed Over. And I'm sorry I didn't do anything with it, Steve. All I did was play fake guitar riffs on top of it that sounded like vocal melodies too. And I haven't had a chance to even listen to what you ended up with. Billy says it's really good.
It is really good.
I just put it up on SoundCloud because I went ahead and did everything to it. I mean, I put a simple bass line on it. I still want to get you guys to play on it whenever that.
Well, that's what I was getting after. So one thing that we could do is you could throw a click track on there and I could take a stab at recording here with it. I mean,
Sure.
I've got a couple of decent mics and a drum set.
All right.
What kind of format would you want tracks that we did? Because obviously I'm using GarageBand, like I was saying. I can export a single track as an MP3.
Well, if you can export a track as, 16-bit 44.1, which is what CDs are.
Oh.
Okay, and that's different than the MP3. I don't think I've ever done anything but I'll figure it out.
MP3 is way lower quality.
Is it? Okay.
Steve, if you did that, what format, like what files would you actually send me?
Like a WAV file that you could drop into any audio program.
All right.
What would you use, Brent?
Well, I use Audition for the Ripley stuff, so I'd actually probably use that.
Yeah, no, you should. Audition's good. We were using that at work. It's really good.
Whatever you know how to use the best.
You know what? I might make another push for my office to give me access to the Adobe suite because I don't have it.
Brent, let me know if you need access to Herzog for any of your stuff that might be there.
Well, I still have that key.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, that's right. Never mind.
Are you guys still doing Ripley's?
Yeah. There's a new one yesterday.
And do you guys have a bunch staked, or are you still going down there and recording them, or are you recording them like this?
Recording like this.
Right.
So I have the equipment here, so I'm kind of recording like normal. He's got a little handheld device, and he's recording on that, and then sending me that file, and I just line them up. It's been okay. It doesn't sound as good as it, Herzog, but it's decent.
Right. I mean, when the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon's pretty much just like this, maybe not even as good. Christy doesn't watch that. She really gets a kick out of how like just low rent it is. It is kind of funny. Well, what do you guys think? Brent, are we going to have school again this year?
No.
I don't think
maybe not next year.
Yeah, that's the thing is if we don't have school next year, then they'll have canceled the election and we'll really be, headlong towards a totalitarian state. You're playing Jenga?
I'm just building it back. My son destroyed it this morning.
Just playing or just to destroy it?
I thought maybe that was after he said no.
I should go give him this so he can do that. No, I don't think so. No, there's no school.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I had an Oak Hills teacher on yesterday, and he said the same thing with no hesitation. He's like, nope, not gonna happen. So, are you? Do you guys have? I guess you're in the same boat I am. CPS with Schoology and all that.
Schoology was down today.
Schoology's been down almost every day. That's because it was never built for every single person with an account in the system to log on at the same time.
Yeah, the whole school thing is really confusing. They're doing their best to maintain some. There's work every day. I don't know if your kids are doing much, but like my kids are busy for a couple hours a day, but they're not. Nothing's graded. Like they've thrown the grades out the window for the entire semester, is my understanding.
Mike speculated that it would end up being kind of a participation grade. He said that he thought that May 1st would come around and then they'd call the year and they'd ask all the teachers that had been engaged in this kind of virtual learning to just make a call on what the grade would be. for that semester or quarter or whatever it would be.
Pass.
And if you're if you're a senior, then you just
pass or fail, really. Not yeah. And yeah. We'll see what happens.
It's worth. I was thinking today. I saw somewhere else like the graduating class of this year, next year, were born when 9/11.
That's probably about right. 2020, when it was 2001. That'd be about right. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a catastrophe kind of world. I don't know what to say about that. What do you guys think? Are we looking at a peak soon? Are we looking at hell? Are we looking at, this is the question, this is how I always put the question. And if you've watched some of these, Stevie, and you've heard me say this way before, people seem split between it's not going to make that big a difference and Mad Max. And just in the middle is what we're hoping for.
Let's talk about the Bob Dylan tune.
I still haven't listened to it.
I still haven't listened to it.
I heard it.
No, you guys, please discuss Bob Dylan amongst yourselves.
Oh my God, it's a masterwork, I believe.
Well, you sent an article to me of someone who apparently agrees with you.
There are a lot of a lot of that going around.
It spreads. Apparently, there's a contagion
lot of
rate
folks,
that's pretty
unfortunately, that say like, "Oh, Bob Dylan, an old man mumbling for 17 minutes. I don't need that."
I love me some Bob Dylan.
He had a lot to say.
What do you
stored it up for 35 years or whatever it's been since he released something.
Basically.
It wasn't my favorite, but I enjoyed it. It was nice to hear his voice. Some of the lyrics were, I think he rhymed something with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Huh.
I don't know. He had some kind of suspect.
Rub-a-dub-dub.
Just to hear Bob Dylan sing Nightmare on Elm Street is enough for me to listen to this song later.
So
Nightmare on Elm Street.
So from my perspective, the song is like, it's like a non-song. There's no chorus, no build-up, nothing. It's just a level field for like 17 minutes, and that sounds awesome, right? But
right.
he starts off and saying it's about JFK and whatnot, but then basically, as the article, which I think I mostly agree with, that I shared with you, saying that when JFK was shot, the seeds were sown of, a bigger plan that's only starting to take root now, and everyone was distracted in the meantime with "Don't worry, kids, your president's been shot, but the Beatles are going to hold your hand." And then going through every pop culture moment in our history since then. But notably at the very end, after this, 12 minutes of listing all these cultural things, the songs that he references at the very end are songs that were of the era of the Civil War, or referencing the Civil War.
So he kind of went forward and way back.
Well, it's pretty interesting, and I guess also worth noting, it was I think his first song that he's released since he was awarded the Nobel Prize for poetry, right?
I don't know.
Never heard it.
Never heard of it.
Don't know, don't vouch.
Yeah. Anyways.
I find that possible. I mean, it seems perfectly reasonable to me. I like a lot of the early Dylan stuff. That's
my favorite thing to bring up every time I'm on your show, Scott.
The Pulitzer Prize or the Nobel Prize?
Just the song.
Oh, the Bob Dylan song. No, you're correct. But what are you going to do? Subject matter is hard to come by. Content is king, right, Brent?
Nod. Yeah, we got a nod.
We got a nod. So, do you guys, if we do this once a week, do you guys want to try like pulling some instruments out while we're on this to see what it sounds like? I'm pretty sure it won't work, because I know there's a digital lag, and I know Zoom tries to balance and otherwise mix sound, giving priority to the thing it thinks it needs it. So,
so maybe it'll just mix itself. Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, sure. No, I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'd be willing to try. I wasn't set up to. I got the very distinct impression from you, Stevie, that you didn't want to mess with it just like arbitrarily.
Well, I think it would just, there would be a lag and it would sound like a train wreck.
Yes, but it might be an interesting train wreck. Like you taking songs and cutting them to half speed for arbitrary reasons.
I like the idea of recording separately and putting it all
Postal
together as
Service.
kind of a.
We could try it. We could try it. But the only suggestion I would make is that Stevie, you should be, if it's like a song of yours, for example, and obviously I think everybody should throw something in if we end up finding a system that works. But because I think we're going to be at this home stuff for a long time. But everyone could be real specific about wing, because I'll fuck around and put keyboard tracks on shit. Just saying.
Well, which you've already done in the past.
Just that broken piano at my parents' house. That's the closest I ever came to a keyboard track on anything. That piano sounded cool. That piano sounded great, though, didn't it?
You have a piano?
No, I don't. But I have a handful of keyboards. Bible's got a pretty nice full-size weighted key thing that sounds pretty good. And it's got all midis and shit. It's got tons of piano settings on it. Different pianos, different rooms, that kind of thing.
Can you hook it up to a GarageBand or something like that?
I can. I most certainly can. I've got this interface here. Well, I can't pull it over because it's connected to everything.
It's got MIDI.
The keyboard has MIDI, but I don't have a MIDI interface. I've just got one of those digital. It's got an XLR and a 1/4 inch in and a USB out kind of thing.
Okay.
It gives me a pretty good stereo signal.
All right. Well, there you go.
Works. Yep. I'm ready to go. Why don't we start doing it? So let's go ahead right now and establish that Sistern's going to record a full album of new material in quarantine. All right?
All right.
So you finished Death Warmed Over already. So starting now, anything, Stevie, that we did and worked on over the last year and stuff, that's pre-quarantine stuff. It's not genuine. So we have to start from scratch right now.
Well, I wouldn't say it's finished. I just wanted to hear what.
No. I'm kidding. No.
I did it because nobody else would.
I'm sorry, man. I haven't. It's amazing what little
you
time.
You haven't had time. You've been really busy. You still work.
Drinking.
Some of us don't work.
Yeah, I know. I understand. You know what's funny is I kind of wish I lobbied for a long time to try and work from home, and I kind of wish I was going in at least sometimes now. Kind of,
Yeah, I have a question.
Please, you in the back.
Did anyone get pranked today?
My daughter attempted to prank me a couple of times, but for the most part, no, I didn't fall for anything. My wife did manage to pull off the Mike DeWine fake news story that the school years were going to have to be repeated. That nothing counted. School would start in July to make up for days, and they would be repeating whatever grade they were in now. And my son, I thought he was going to have a heart attack. He's like,
Ryan sent that to our kids, and Brando spotted the little watermark from the meme-tastic thing immediately.
Yeah, there you go. I'm surprised Fivel didn't. Elliot didn't believe it right out of the gate. I'm running out of time. I've got the free Zoom, so I get cut off after 45 minutes. You guys want to make any predictions between now and next Wednesday regarding the world or your life or the lottery or perhaps football scores?
Trump will remain #1 on Facebook.
Yeah. It's always been a goal of the GOP to be social media moguls. Is it moguls? I don't know. Moguls? I don't know. Moguls. Thank you.
So,
like the ski things.
You guys listen to this. I got this email today, and I have Mac stuff, and the title of the email was one of my passwords. And they said, send us 1,000 Bitcoins, or we're gonna send out this video that we made of you on some X-rated site to all your contacts.
I would have been like, go for it.
Yeah, that's basically.
I'd like to see that video of you on an X-rated site.
Right, I'd be like, do I get the DVD copy so I can have it forever?
That guarantees viewership for your next episode of the show, Scott.
So when you guys get the video, let me know.
Okay.
Because I want to see it too.
A guy last night was telling me that Zoom, which is what I'm using, is apparently one of the easiest to hack kind of things or something. It's not secure. So apparently, even though I know for a fact that Zoom is one of the most widespread video conferencing platforms, it's apparently got security issues. I told him I didn't care. I said, I need more views.
Hey, real quick about the song. So Stevie, if you, assuming that this would start with you sending a track to somebody, like if you recorded any of the songs we've been working on, would you send, what would be the order? Like, would you send that to, what would you want first? Bass? It's other guitar? Drums?
I would want drums first, but I guess without, I don't know. That's a good question. What do you say, Steve?
I mean, if I had guitar, you could put drums on it, or you could put bass on it.
You know what we could do, Brent, is we could, I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of back and forth. He could send it to us both simultaneously and see what happens. And then maybe we could listen to what the end result was and decide whether or not we wanted to play more like what we'd heard you doing or vice versa. What do you think of that?
I actually do need to go down to Herzog then and grab a couple things, but I was just curious because it might take me a few days to do that.
Well, I'm going to spend the next couple of days making sure I know how to get it all together. I know how to get stuff into GarageBand and put tracks on it. I just got to make sure I can export it the way Stevie needs it, because if I can't, I'm kind of dead in the water anyway.
Yeah.
So let's use Death Warmed Over, because I've already got that here, and I've already got the hookup I've already got the track created, and I've got a guitar track. So let's start with the new one, and let's just I'll go ahead and listen to what you got, Stevie, and I'll see if I'm gonna do anything different with it, and we'll see what happens. Let's talk about it again next week. See how much progress we can make over the next.
I think the drums sound fine on that, by the way. Like, there's no point in me going over that song again. I don't think. I think you did a good job on that,
Stevie.
Whatever.
Well, he's got the drums in the garage. He likes playing in the dark.
Notice there were no snare hits than just the basic. It was just so basic.
It sounded fine.
Build-ups covered it up.
Boys, I love you all. I'm hanging up.
All right, good to see y'all.
Nice to see you guys. Next week? Yes?
Week.
All right. Have a great one. Thanks, guys.
Later.